We speak now to Dieu Do from the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, or MIRAC. Dieu Do, welcome to MEE, and thank you so much for joining us. Could you just paint us a picture from what you've seen on the streets today? We've just learned Gregory Bovino will be leaving, ICE's presence may be reduced. Is that enough to pacify local protesters like yourself?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me today. And when we learned that Gregory Bovino was going to be ordered to leave Minnesota, and there's a number of agents being ordered to leave, um, we shouldn't expect a fascist government to act in good faith. And there's been no public details, no transparency about how many agents are leaving, about the timeline and what this will look like. And ultimately, it's not enough. We've seen two neighbors now be killed by ICE with no investigation, no accountability. We've seen countless protesters and observers and everyday people like myself being brutalized and harmed by ICE agents. And we need to demand more. We shouldn't let our guard down and think that, this new tactic that they're using is acting in good faith. We should continue to have our guard up, and we should continue to protect neighbors and community members like we have been the last year, but especially since Operation Metro Surge started.
But what does that look like? I mean, some activist groups, some protesters, they're working to monitor ICE, preaching non-intervention, stand back and just observe. Others are actively obstructing ICE agents attempting to carry out raids. Can I just ask, what is your approach, or what is your organization's approach to direct intervention against ICE's actions?
Yeah, there's been, a variety of tactics being used and strategies used by the community. We've seen folks do community patrolling where they, stand in street corners, especially on streets along cultural corridors where there's a lot of immigrant owned businesses and people of color who own their businesses, and are keeping watch of suspicious activity, of suspicious vehicles, and reporting it to their local neighborhood rapid response network as soon as they see either ICE agents or people suspected to be ICE agents, because ICE agents know that when they're being watched, when there's people observing, that they're less likely to detain someone and less likely to harm people. So we've been doing that. There's been folks who have been, protesting really early in the morning at the Federal Whipple building where ICE agents leave for the day to go terrorize our communities. And they've been, tracking when ICE agents leave and in what direction, all the way to tracking different license plate numbers and just like that kind of information and details of ICE agents as well. So there's a variety of tools being used to patrol the community, but also a variety of tools being used for mutual aid to support individuals and families directly
But
impacted by
none of
all
what
this
you
too.
described just then sounds like what the Trump administration is depicting on the streets, of people like yourself violently intervening against ICE agents. How would you respond to that depiction of what's going on in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I mean, they're more worried about the protesters and what we're protesting, at the end of the day. And yeah, it's incredibly infuriating as someone who lives in Minnesota, as Minnesotans who are experiencing the federal occupation of Minnesota, and seeing this rhetoric and seeing this disinformation being spread about what's happening. Minnesotans have been practicing our constitutional rights, and our constitutional rights are being violated by the federal government. And they're going on TV, going on press tours saying that we're being violent when they're the ones who have been using tear gas, pepper spray, flashbangs, and as we've seen, has killed members of our community.